we have our final keynote speaker. She is a good friend to Comision. We thank you so much. I'd like to introduce Assemblywoman Luz Rivas. She represents the 39th Assembly District in the Northeast San Fernando Valley. And Luz, we look forward to what you have to say. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. I'm so excited to be here. I love the pink berets. Sorry, my screen is full of them. So I love your outfits. But I had to say that. I had to throw that in.
Great.
But thank you, Comision Femenil, for inviting me to be here in Lori. It's a pleasure to join all of you, which I believe is your 27th annual conference. So thank you for doing this for our community every year. You're always there for us, for our young women. And I'm so excited that you do that and proud to support this. So my name is Luz Rivas. I represent Assembly District 39, which is the East San Fernando Valley, from Sylmar down to North Hollywood, including Pacoima, Sun Valley, San Fernando, a lot of our communities that I know a lot of you are from. And I'm very proud to represent my community in the state assembly. Almost 3 years since I've been elected. And I love it every day more than I did the day before, right? Because this is such a great opportunity to serve my community and with the support of my community, because I don't do this alone. So thank you for Comision especially, for being part of my community and some of my trusted allies. So I grew up, I talked a little bit about who I represent, but I grew up here in Pacoima and Arleta. My family came to Pacoima in the 1950s from Mexico. And so we've been in Pacoima for a long time, and we know a lot of the families. I grew up on Penny Street near Bobo's Burgers in Pacoima. Some of you might know where that is. And all of our families were all very connected in that community since I was a kid. We still keep in touch and we still know we are all connected. But that's the kind of community that we're from. And I think it has really helped me in my life, knowing that I have a place to come back. I went away for a while, then I came back and I still felt those connections and the people that are so supportive of me and anything that I do. So I think we're all very lucky to be from the Northeast San Fernando Valley. I grew up, like I said, in Pacoima. I went to Telfair Elementary School in Pacoima, very proud to be a Telfair alum. And it was there in the early 80s where I learned about computers. And this is 1984. I was 10 years old. As you all know, we didn't have computers at home. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have cell phones. None of that technology was accessible to anyone, let alone kids in Pacoima. But my teacher at Telfair had computers in the classroom. She was taking classes at CSUN at night to learn how to program a computer. And then she would come back during the school day and teach us how to do that. And this is, adults didn't even know how to do this. But there I was as a 10-year-old programming a computer, and I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. And then my teacher told me that this could be a career. I thought it was just a game that we played with at school. And since then, I decided, I think I'm going to do something related to computer science and engineering. And so I went to Pacoima Junior High, which is now Pacoima Middle School, then continued on to San Fernando High School, where I continued to take computer science classes. I was involved in a program called MESA at San Fernando High School, which was to introduce high school students to engineering. And we would go to CSUN to learn more about engineering from their students and their professors when I was in high school. So all of that helped me continue to maintain my interest in STEM. And I ended up going to MIT, where I studied electrical engineering. Also took a lot of computer science classes. But that pathway, that support that I had from from Telfair, Pacoima, and San Fernando High School helped someone like me that didn't know a scientist or engineer. My family had, they weren't professionals, right? They worked hard, but none of them went to college. But it was my schools and the teachers and others that cared enough about us that really was my support system for me to gain the confidence that I could actually go to a top university, without having parents that did, or parents that knew, could connect me to a scientist or engineer to help me. And so I really credit my community for that accomplishment. So after MIT, I went to go work for Motorola in Chicago. I wanted to work in a big city, and I got that job in Chicago. So I didn't come home. Even my mom was very sad and disappointed because she thought I was only going away for 4 years and then I would be coming right back to Pacoima. But I still wanted to be out there and learn about different cities and communities. And I was very fortunate to be in Chicago for 7 years, and learned a lot about similar communities like ours in the city of Chicago. And while being an engineer there, I volunteered at an organization named Erie House, and it's in Chicago. And met a lot of young Latinas and Latinos that were in middle school and high school, and they had no idea what I did. So at the time I was working as an engineer, they didn't know what that was. They hated math and science in school. They said it was horrible. So it made me think, like, they don't have the same support system that I did when I was a young girl that helped me get there. And that's what led me to switch and switch careers basically to more STEM education, because I felt like our young people, or young people that look like me and that are growing up like me, they're not getting any of this STEM education in school. And what I thought of STEM, one, I really liked it, because I was introduced to it. I wouldn't have known that I would have liked this. And two, these are very well-paying jobs when you graduate from college, sorry, from college. Even as a entry-level engineer, it's a very good salary. And I think for a lot of us, we think we need to help our families, right? We're going away to college, or going to college, even if we're staying home. And for a lot of us, it means that we're now going to be the ones that help our families in the future, right? Because like me, I didn't come from a family with a lot of money. And I felt that responsibility. And because I was an engineer, I was able to do that. And so I think that's what's very important too. And, while I was working as an engineer, I also saw that, there weren't very many Latinas. I was always the only one. So maybe there's a few Latinos, the men in the company, but Latinas, I mean, we all knew each other because there's only like 2 or 3 of us in the whole company that were engineers. And I think a lot of times they thought we were the assistants, or, that we were administrative, which is okay, but I wasn't, right? I had earned my degree already. And so when I came home back to Pacoima, I felt it was my responsibility, and I wanted to make sure that young Latinas like me also had the same opportunity, that since they were in elementary school, they would have been exposed to STEM, and then could choose this as a career if they want. Or at least I think what doing hands-on STEM activities does for some of us is it gives us confidence. It's about confidence, especially as a young Latina, because you are learning to do things that adults don't even know how to do, right? And it's real, right? You're programming a robot, or creating something on your computer, programming your computer. So I think people are genuinely impressed with the young girls if they're doing this. And the girls notice that, oh, wow, I'm doing something that people are impressed by. And they gain confidence at that young age, where they're beginning to lose their confidence and not and learning what society labels us or believes us to be. And so that's why I started a nonprofit called DIY Girls. It started at Telfair Elementary in my 5th grade classroom. The school assigned me that room, and it was the same room where I learned how to program a computer. It was total coincidence, but I love that. And now I started this in 2012. So now almost 10 years later, the organization is still growing strong. You know, thousands of young girls have gone through the programs, and we now have young girls that are in college. We have, you know, my first class from last year, they are now at, you know, all of the UCs and Brown University. There's a young girl at Brown University, all the Cal States, Cal Poly, lots of different universities where a lot of them are continuing in STEM. And this year I'm proud of, we have a young girl that just got into UC Berkeley. Very proud of her. You know, she was a 10-year-old at Telfair, coming after school every day. And now she's on her way to Berkeley. And so it's great that that we have organizations like Comision, like DIY Girls, that are supporting Latinas in the Northeast Valley. You know, I know in like the future, we're gonna see the result of this. We're gonna see these young girls running organizations, running companies in our community, and changing a lot about our community, because I know that they're going to come back and want to do something and make a difference. So I'm very proud of that. And that's what led me to become an elected official. I never planned to do this. I never had aspirations to be elected. I was very happy running my nonprofit. And I had been appointed to the Public Works Commission. So that was kind of fun to go back into engineering for the city. And, you know, an opportunity came up, and people called me and asked if I was interested in running for office. And I thought they were crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not a politician. That's not what I do. You know, I like doing, you know, my current work. But I thought about it, and you know, when I worked with the young girls at DIY, I always told them, you know, when opportunities come up, you have to take risks, right? If you want to be a leader, and you never know when those opportunities are going to come to you, and you have to be open to them. And so I thought, if I don't take this opportunity and at least try to run for office, then I'm not doing what I'm telling the girls to do. Right. And I think it's important for young girls to hear that, even if it's not in your plan, because sometimes we're taught that we have to plan the next 5 years. But then what if an opportunity comes up and that's even better for you? You just have to be ready to take it if it's something you want to do. And I've always been open to that. And I think that's why I'm here today now as the assembly member, because I took a risk. I said, okay, I'm going to try to win. I'm going to work hard. And if it doesn't work, I'll just go back to what I was doing before. But fortunately, and thanks to a lot of you on this call, on this Zoom, I was successful. So thank you. And I love representing this community. And I just want you all to know that I'm here for you. If you ever need anything from my office, please feel free to reach out to my office. And thank you for participating today and wanting to be a better leader, a better Latina, right? Because we're gonna run the world. We already do, right? Right? And, we already are involved. We're the ones organizing volunteer events. We just had a cleanup today. We're running things already, you know, so let's do more, right? And I know that's why you're all here today, to support each other. And I want you to count me in as someone that's part of your support network.
Wow.
So sorry to interrupt, Assembly Member. It's 11:48.
Okay.
So sorry to interrupt.
Thank you, Luz. Thank you so much for your inspiring words. I think everybody got